Hi, I'm Andre The Beast, and welcome to the Andre The Beast Show. Today, we have another exciting segment. We have Arthur. I believe I said that right, didn't I? Did I say the right word? Arthur. My co-host, Jordan, is with me today. She will be giving me the stink eye if I do not do this right. So, today we're going to talk about a word that I have a very hard time saying, and it is called what?
Branthropology.
Say that one more time.
Branthropology?
Do you know what that is?
Not so much.
You know what? We have someone here.
Did I even say it right?
Did you say it right?
Well, I'm a branthropist, but you can say branthropology. I guess that would be
like
the
ology
study
part of it.
Well, that's
It's
the study of branding.
Yeah,
the study of branding. You're fine.
So, who do we have Miss Yolanda Smith here to talk just about that particular word, which is called
Branthropist.
Don't look at me because I can't pronounce it. Okay. So, Yolanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Interesting journey with you. Corporate, now branding. Tell me about what's going on here.
Absolutely. So I would say that I am a branding pro. I actually look at myself as a person that gives, from a branthropist side, the gift of authenticity so that people can actually live a life of joy and success. And we do that by helping them articulate their value, stand out, and live their life as they are and not as what others may want them to be.
Is that difficult for people to do? Is it a craft? Is it something that people should already know how to do? What made that particular ideology come to you?
Well, for me, I think it's been a journey, and part of that journey started with me being in corporate America for quite some time, and I'm still there, working on the downside, of course, but and looking at really pursuing my passion. So what it all boils down to is how do you really get the reward that you want in any situation, and what does it take to do that? And I think what we've done over the past is historically worked on a business brand. We worked with companies. We are out there, promoting their brand, but not recognizing that us as individuals are brands. You're a brand. I'm a brand. We're all brands. So the key is are you then intentionally and strategically managing your brand, or are you allowing someone else to do it for you?
Explain that to me. When you say, so you're saying someone telling your story versus you telling your story.
You got it.
Sure.
See, you're on it now.
Yeah,
You're on it. So what it is, essentially what it is that if you think about what is a brand, so let's back up a second, because a lot of people don't really understand what personal branding is. And personal branding is really about how others view you. Yes, it's reputation, it's image, but in essence, we can boil it down to what do people say about you when you leave the room? When they're gossiping, is it positive or is it negative?
Jason, what are you saying when I leave the room?
You will never know.
But essentially that's what it boils down. It's the relationship that they have with you. So first of all, as we understand that, it's really about how you define yourself, how you articulate your value to others. What is your promise to others? Because the mistake will be made is that your brand is something you should sell, and that's not true. You can market your brand, but it's really about the value and the promise that you deliver to others. Because if you do that well, then that comes back in the reward of monetary relationships, things of this nature. So that's the brand piece. And a lot of people don't realize that they need one, and I was one of those people.
When did you realize that you actually needed one? What was the things that inspired you to just wake up? Because I know we go way back, so I know your ability to impact the masses. I was one of those that was impacted by you as well. So what was the chain of events that actually led you to say, you know what, I need to brand myself? Because you're right, a lot of people
Why did you want to?
Yeah, why did you want to?
So essentially, being in corporate America, what I saw is that I knew that I was very capable and competent, but I wasn't moving at the rate that I saw others moving, whether they look like me or not. I just didn't understand what was going on there. And
What do you
it
mean
wasn't-
move the rate? I didn't mean to cut you off. What do you mean like moving with the rate that you saw other individuals? Does that
people
mean
getting
advancement?
promotion, that
Okay.
sort of thing.
Okay.
So I was going, but I was at a snail's pace, and other people were going faster. And I'm like, well, how do they get to go faster? What am I missing here? And it wasn't until I was mid-career. So what I realized is that I didn't have a brand for one, but I also didn't have mentors, coaches, sponsors. And those are the three biggies that are important, particularly in corporate America.
What were there again?
Coaches, mentors, and sponsors.
Okay.
So those are people that can guide you, offer guidance. A sponsor is a person that will talk about you when you're not in the room. So when they're talking about talent and really, who's in line to get the next promotion and things like this, if you have nobody in there mentioning your name, then you're not there. Companies have what they call high potential, we call them hypo list.
What does that mean? 'Cause you threw me.
That's a list of individuals they've identified that they feel like can advance through the corporation in leadership roles.
Oh, I'm on that list.
So if you're not on that list,
I'm on that list.
well, you would think you were on the list.
But all
I'm
corporate
thinking,
America does
why was I not on the list, right?
Okay.
But it's those things. So if you're not a corporate recruit, and those are people that have been identified that they want to invest in, may send them to get their MBA and pay for it and do these sorts of things. If you are not in those circles per se, then you're left on the outside trying to figure out how to do it organically.
Okay.
Because you're not being told this is what I want you to do. So what I realized is that there's a handful of those people and a ton of people out there that are perfectly capable, smart, intelligent people who desire to move their career and just have no idea what they're supposed to be doing.
Is this part of what we call playing the game syndrome?
I mean,
part
I
of the
think
game.
I think that's a piece of it. I think that's a piece of it. So, but if you're not a part of that inner circle, certainly, then you've got to do some things. It's almost like not having a seat at the table. You better pull up your chair.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you have to do. And so the things that I teach as a branding coach and as a speaker and masterclass facilitator are, what do you need to be doing to make sure that you can get a seat at the table? And a lot of that goes around to really creating that brand so that you can stand out. If people can't recognize you for the expertise that you bring, what's your superpower? That's the thing that you do better than anybody else. If I were to give you an award, what would that award be for, right? Those are the things that you do well, but if you don't tell anybody about them, guess what?
They never know.
They never know.
So what did you recognize is your brand?
So for me, I mean, the passion is in teaching and educating and helping others to achieve their best. So that becomes my brand. I'm that person that likes to inspire and empower people. And so once I discovered that and I realized what I didn't have, I said, I don't want others to have that learning curve. So I'm going to tell you what you need so you can get in action and make sure that you're in position to be as competitive as anyone else. So that's the work that I'm passionate
that.
about.
How does this transition into everyday life? I know there's the branding maybe for corporate to seek, I guess, in the corporate world, and does the same thing transition into the regular world? Is there a difference in between the branding?
No. Your personal brand is your personal brand, whether it's personal or professional.
Okay.
And that's the thing that people do sometimes mistake. And if you mistake that, the challenge is you're going to confuse people.
Okay.
And what I can tell you about confused people is that they don't buy, period. Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. So that's the challenge. So when you think about personally, you think about professionally, that's where it says bring your authentic self into what you do. You know, you got to come all in. And that doesn't mean every behavior or attitude, because we can be laxed and loose at home, and that's okay. Some things need to stay at home, right? Like I tell most people, there's the 3 sides to us. There's a side we bring to work, there's the side we allow our families and friends to see, and then there's that dark side we don't want anybody to see. You know, but the point is that when you really start to cultivate and create your brand, it should be very seamless into your personal life. Because here's the story. If people feel like they know you, if people connect with you and feel like you fit, those are the people that will promote you, nominate you, sponsor you, marry you, loan you money. So it's all about the connection. It's all about the relationship. So even when you think about, a corporate setting, in a corporate setting, what you want to do is you want to build that network in those relationships. Because if you're not having a conversation about a job before that job is posted, it's highly likely you're not in contention for that job. Okay. So see, all this takes place behind the scenes before you ever get to the real formal standardized process of things.
Do you find that most individuals in not only the corporate world, but just in general, people in general you come in contact with, evidently you see their weaknesses? What is some of the weaknesses that you see in people every day, that just a simple thing that you can do to change? Like, if I'm going to therapy, I always tell my therapist this: you're good at what you do, but you can't give me a whole bowl of cereal. It's not going to function. So what's the first thing that you recognize with people that have potential, or that you see and say, this is what you need to work on first? Is there an order of operations to get to this level of branding?
I can't say that, because you got to meet people where they are, right? So there's no cookie cutter approach, but there's a few key things that need to be involved and implemented no matter how you look at it. And the first one is just simply recognizing that you need a personal brand. And
I was getting ready to say that, recognize.
Yes, and a personal brand is a requirement. It's not an option.
Okay.
So that's where we go short, because people don't think personal brand, pertains to them. Why? Because back in the day, before we were all connected through the digital technology that we have today, is that it was for stars and famous people. Those are the ones that had a brand. I mean, think about it. There was a time where a business card was how we branded ourselves, right?
Is there a key, though, to personal branding? Because it just seems like everyone needs that oomph, and not everybody carries it.
Right.
So how do you go about developing it in someone?
Well, I think it's a process, and just understanding that as you go through a process, which is the things that I teach people, you have to really understand yourself and know yourself. So first is recognition. Second is really knowing yourself and understanding yourself. Third is you have to understand how others perceive you. So it's taking a brand assessment so that you know how others perceive you. Because if you don't understand that, then you don't know where your blind spots and gaps exist, right? So there's nothing you need to do, because you just don't know. And when you look at it from different perspectives, it could be as it relates to your personality, it could be skill sets, it could be strengths, weaknesses, right? All those attributes could come into play. So you have to make that conscious decision. But then once you understand that, and you understand what your superpower is, so we go through exercises where you uncover your superpower, your value, your purpose, what differentiates you, and things of this nature. But once you understand that, then you can cultivate your story, and you start to create a brand statement, if you will. And that statement should speak to what you do well, your value to others, who you serve, and then how you do it uniquely. And then you start using that in your everyday play. So social media is a great platform.
How's that?
Well, because it allows you to, at a touch of a button, at a click, at a tweet, to be able to put information out there. And again, if you're not telling your story, someone else is, and that's very risky, because the way they perceive you may not be how you want to be perceived.
Did you find that a lot in your journey to writing this book? Did you see a lot of that people were telling your story and you was like, hold down, this isn't me?
I've had situations where that's happened, but I think I have done a fairly good job of being able to articulate who I am, because I'm not the most quietest person in the world. I don't mind.
I know that.
I don't mind saying it, but it's kind of interesting, because I did encounter a situation where someone didn't know me and had some biases and perceived me to be one way and ran with that narrative, and me knowing branding but thinking, okay, she's just whatever, and didn't pay attention to it, and it actually caused me some professional harm. Amazing. So I think the thing is that you want a brand, and you want to be proactive about having a brand before you need a brand. Because if you're waiting till you're in a crisis to get a brand, it's like working behind the 8 ball. Sort of think about it. A dentist tells you to brush twice a day, right? If you don't brush twice a day, the odds are you may get cavities and gum disease. Right? Yeah, gum disease. Yeah. So it's not that it's going to be impossible to fix that, but think about how we're behind the 8 ball now when we could have been proactive and prevented it, right? Similar situations. Right.
You had a question?
So once you have your brand, what do you do when other people come against you and they're not recognizing your brand? So they are saying the opposite of what you stand for. How do you go about correcting that?
Yeah. So the key there is to really, we have to step back out of ourselves. There's a couple different categories. Let's get these out the way. You're going to have some haters, right? There are
Always.
haters always out there.
Haters.
And those are the people that you may or may not choose to respond to. Because here's what's important. It can take you years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to destroy it. So you want to be very responsible in terms of how you respond to this madness out there. And if that's what you see it is, sometimes silence is golden and it doesn't warrant a response. If there's someone in your influence circle and they are seeing you differently than you see yourself, you got to just take a step back. We're going to always take a step back and say, okay, we're going to take accountability, because we got to have a strategy for when we have a crisis, right? Try to understand why that person feels that way. And then if it requires an offline conversation to really clear up some things, it may be worth doing that, particularly if they're in an influencer. But what I typically tell people is it's not about going from bad to good. It's going from bad to worse when you're in a crisis. So you just want to be very intentional and thoughtful about how you respond and not spout out. And the other thing about social media is, if you think about it, once you say it, it's out there. Yeah, there's no take backs. I don't care if it's, what is it, a Snapchat, Snapback, or whatever that's called, where you're supposed to put it out there and then it's gone. No.
It's still there.
It's still there. Everything's still there.
So I'm gonna ask you a question that's with what's going on today. How can what you're doing right now with this branding be implemented? I guess that's the word I want to use. With what we're dealing with today, can this method of self-identification help us move forward with all the stuff that we're dealing with now with social identity crisis, the identity things that we're dealing with now? Because get real, let's think about it for a minute. We're the platforms right now, and we talked about this. Yes. And you know where I'm going with this.
Yes, I do.
I don't need a LeBron James to speak for me.
Right.
And it kind of undermines me to an extent to think that people would allow an athlete that makes millions to tell my story if I'm barely living paycheck to paycheck. You see where I'm going?
I do.
Take it over.
Okay, I got to. Okay, we're gonna go twofold for one. One is, in this environment, people can really be feeling isolated and fearful, right?
Right.
I mean, it's done that. That's part of the COVID piece of things, and so it's very important that you have visibility to your brand, so that you're not getting lost in the shadows. You're not feeling that isolation, which can result in depression and things like that. You have to stay connected. That's the number one priority, is somehow figure out ways to keep yourself connected and make sure that your boss or your employees know that you're there. So we need to show up. And I tell a lot of people, showing up means open up that Zoom, let people see your face, know you're there. We got to engage whichever way we can engage, because we're working from home. As far as the racial tensions that are existing today, that brings on a whole different dynamic, right? Because I think for me, having the experience of somebody coming in, not knowing me, and then having biases against me and deciding for me who I should be or who I should not be was very difficult, because I was on a very good trajectory at that point once I had discovered my plan to be successful. And so in corporate America alone, this is not an anomaly. This has been existing. We've been dealing with this from a racial standpoint. There is not equality. It should be, but for whatever reason, we exercise the privilege that's there, and other people get the opportunities when we don't. It's just a fact. And she came up against me, not knowing me, but not knowing that I was a person that had a voice, and I wasn't letting this just go. So when you think about it from an athlete standpoint, I think we have a couple schools of thought, because, we don't necessarily always agree, Andre.
I know.
I think the athlete has the platform where a lot of us don't have the platform to speak for ourselves. I don't know if today they have the same experience, that we have when we are in a lower socioeconomic class, when there's social determinants that determine what we can have access to and don't have access to. And then there's a whole nother paradigm to this in terms of, if you think about the years of oppression and the years that people have been made to feel this way. So I'm going to share something with you, if you allow me to do this. So I wrote an email to some people at work, and what I wanted them to understand is that I appreciate the empathy, but you would never know what it feels like when you don't walk in our shoes, right? That's difficult when you don't walk in the shoes. But imagine waking up black, but you didn't ask to be black. You just were born black. God made you that way. But for whatever reason, you go through life mad because you're black, because feel like you've been ostracized for just being black. I mean, this is just being born this way, of no fault of your own. I'm not saying that you're out there doing bad things. I mean, we got bad people on both sides of the aisle. Sometimes it's magnified, or sometimes it's a little bit increased on, depending on the situation. But being black. And then you look at other people that have opportunities, but yet you're told that these opportunities are not for you. You don't deserve them. You don't have them. There's no hope. And this is generational. So that's called oppression, and people believe it. If I told you every day that you were ugly every day, you would start to believe you're ugly. Just like if we tell kids they're bad kids every day, you'd start to believe that. Well, it's the same. But it's a race of people that are impacted, and they're typically people in a lower socioeconomic class. So then it becomes survival of the fittest. So people go, well, what about blacks killing blacks? Well, what about it? This is the hurt that produced. I mean, the hurt that hate produced. See what I'm saying? So you start to hate yourself. So how can you do well if you hate yourself? And that's the part. I mean, it gets deep. I'm not going there with y'all. But this is how it happens.
Yeah.
And so to have someone at this level to speak for those people, I think it's more. Hopefully, they can take the platform. And they weren't always at that level. And as you know, athletes come from many different places in their life, from a economic standpoint, class standpoint.
But I think this really goes for that everyone needs their branding. I mean, especially in the situation that we're in, rebranding for all races needs to happen.
Oh, absolutely. It's certainly, yes.
Because there's pros and cons on each side.
Absolutely.
So I am 110% with you that there's hatred on all sides, all 1,200 sides.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, hate is hate, and when you think about hate, that's a leurned behavior.
Absolutely.
You weren't born
you
to
weren't born
hate.
hating anything.
Yeah.
I think I was born hating broccoli. But that's about it.
You haven't got that acquired taste yet. It's coming.
Every 7 years I hear it changes, but it's just still not there. But no, I agree. Like what your book is about, really, it's meant for the state of our world right now.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It really is.
Yeah,
and from all parties, from political parties to races to genders, all the above, it's imperative that we each create our own brand, and most of all that we start implementing love and kindness
and tell our story.
Not because we're bitter, but because we're growing.
That's exactly right. So when people always talk about getting back to normal, I was like, hell, I don't know that I like normal. I don't even think I liked normal. Why I want to go back somewhere? Why not get to better? So I'm encouraging people, don't go back to normal. Get to better. And there's an opportunity to do that by just taking some deliberate steps to make yourself the best you can be and stand out so you can get the recognition you deserve for the expertise that you
sounds like the magic word that we're here, and it's called beast. Keeping that positive attitude, and when people tell you that you can't, you say I can. And when they become optimistic or pessimistic, you reverse those roles. But my question to you, this is a powerful book that I suggest everybody pick up and read. But more importantly than that, there had to be individuals in your life that made you, I'm going there. I was one of them, made you where you are. Tell me about that.
Well, I think if you surround yourself with positive people and you surround yourself with people who love you and genuinely care for you, and when I say that, I don't mean people that are going to be your yes people. We need people to tell us when we're wrong. People to challenge us to think differently, to do better. And when you surround yourself around those type of people, even when you're moaning and groaning about it, in the studio with you moaning and groaning and crying every step of the way, but they don't let you, they hold you accountable. That's about accountability. And it's about really moving to the next level. So I've had some great people in my life to do that.
Was there one person in particular that you
He's really hoping you're saying him. If you could just give that example real quick.
Oh, I've already helped her in the gym, so I mean,
I need to get back in there. I got the COVID going on,
but was there one person that really impacted you that you look back and go, wow, I'm here because that person really played it forward and left a lasting impact.
Who impacted
you know what? Believe it or not, it was my mother, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
My mother actually told me I could be anything that I wanted to be, and that nobody was better than me. but I was also not better than anybody else. But she said it so much, it goes back to that hearing the message over and over and over and then believing what she said. And so I think what it did is it instilled the confidence in me and the assurance in myself that I needed to move forward. So no matter what the obstacles are, what I encounter, I'd be like, my mama said I can be whatever I want to be. You can't tell me what I can be or what I can't be. So, I wouldn't take no as no. I just take it as not right now.
So
but I'm going to figure it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was the lowest part that you encountered before the book, before the corporate America? There had to be a moment in your life, because let's get real, our life isn't bed of roses.
No.
Take me down a moment that you go, wow, I can't see the forest, but you still figured out a way to get beyond that because you had to, or this book wouldn't be sitting here right now. So
Yeah.
So there was a something that happened. Tell me about it.
Well, there were moments that happened in my life and through my career, and I think part of it was really understanding what my values were, and a big one is people being treated unfairly. And so I will tell you that throughout my career, I've gotten in a lot of trouble for defending or taking up for people or inserting myself in things that I didn't have. It wasn't my business, but I saw that it wasn't right, so I would speak up and stand up. Then you go beyond that. You have personal, tragedies and things like that to happen. I shared, I was in a bad car accident in 2017. I was rear-ended by a texting teenager at 45 miles an hour, and that changed my life because I walked away from that accident, and I certainly shouldn't have. So I knew my time wasn't up. And you think about things like that, and losing your dad to cancer shortly thereafter. My mother's dealing with cancer now. Life is precious. But what it made me figure out is that at the end of the day, if I can help someone else, if I can inspire and impact someone else, not to be me, but be better than me, then my job will be well served. So I can walk away, and leave this life knowing that I left a footprint to empower others to be their best self.
I think we just talked about that. I think Paul and David, that was on the last segment, they addressed that beautifully by calling it the ripple effect. You want to leave that lasting impact on people, and that's what it's about, doing that. So my next thing to talk about is you're always doing something spectacular. Tell me about this other book that you got coming out, or should I not have said it?
Well, we don't know what that one's going to be just yet, but I do have in mind a book, and I'll tell you why. I think that I am struggling right now with the idea of whether diversity and inclusion in the corporate sector helps or hurts the minority employee.
Explain that.
Well, I feel like for me, there have been moments where I have been the diversity slate, where I've been granted interviews for positions when I feel like the leadership or the hiring manager knew full well that
Had no intentions on hiring you. I went through that, yeah. How does that make you feel? Because it really hurted me when it happened to me. I told you that story. It hurt it because I went to a school that was looking for a coach. Yeah. And he's like, you're one of two, but you're in the running. But I'm also aware of my surroundings.
Yes.
So the back of my mind, I'm like, I know I'm going to get it. First of all, I know my surroundings, I know where I'm at, and then more importantly, the situation was, you already know who you was going to hire. You got to check the box that I came in. So how did that make you feel doing that?
Well, I think what it does, once I realized it, because it was boom, 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 there was interview after interview after interview. And I know for a fact I was very qualified. And I'm not saying the individuals that got the job were not qualified, but it's amazing to me, out of, 3 or 4 interviews, I couldn't have landed one of those.
Right.
And so it just kind of made you think, what the heck's going on here? And in some cases, when you're being told you're too innovative in a company that is saying we want innovation, or oh, you check 2 of the 3 boxes, but this other person checks all 3. And it makes you feel like you've been played. That's what it makes you feel like. You've been played.
Now, have you been told this, you're overqualified?
Not lately, but that's another one that comes up. I mean, there's a plethora of excuses that they use,
I'm
right?
like, what is overqualified?
But with all of that happening, I mean, that happens with multiple
women.
Women.
It's huge with women.
It's huge,
Yeah,
but what does that do to you? What does that make you feel inside? What do you do with that? Because a lot of people, they take it as a hit and they stay.
Well, it makes you realize that the world is not fair, for one, and it's the odds of you making it fair are going to be very difficult. I think that's the one piece of it. I think if depending on how strong you are and how confident you are in yourself, it could take a chip at that as well. Think about it. You could take a hit. And I've been in situations where I've been able to sustain and come out on the other side, but where I know for a fact people would have tucked their tails and ran. Because if you just don't know who you are, and that's the whole beauty of branding, you have to know who you are and be confident, and then you don't allow people to tear that down. And then sometimes you have to be willing to say, you know what, time up. I'm done with this. I'm going to do something different.
So during the coronavirus, this is what you did. You did something different.
I started this journey. I've been doing this for a while, the personal branding as it relates, but then I got super, super serious after I went through those series of interviews and felt like I was deflated. I mean, because you go in hopeful, thinking you have really a shot at this. And then, you deflate me like that when I've been contributed so much and I know what I've done. You know what I mean? It just, sometimes you just say time's up, and then you have to really be thinking, what do I need to be doing? What is my purpose? That's the other thing you discover. What is your purpose? What is bigger than you that you can put an impact on? And this is where I know I can put my footprint, because this is what I know I am good at.
So it's really not about it's almost like the last segment we did. It's really not about money. It's really finding out what you're happy doing.
Absolutely.
As well. Like David walked away from 7 figures.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and I preach that to a lot of my clients. I'm like, why do you go to work and you bitch about your job, but you're making 7 figures? Are you really happy? What is your self-worth? Is your self-worth going to work and getting a check and being miserable and yelling at your wife and kids because you hate to get up in the morning? I'm like,
sometimes we sell our souls. I'm going to just tell you. You sell your souls for that almighty dollar, and you think you have to feed your family, and people condition you to believe that this is what you're supposed to be doing. We spend most of our time living our lives based on what other people say we should be doing versus what we feel and know we should be doing.
You mentioned earlier, prior to sitting down here, the 4 C's.
Yes.
I really would like you to talk about those.
Yes, the 4 C's of confidence. I mean, it's so important because without the confidence, if you're confident, you can do just about anything. I mean, I'm serious about that. If you believe that you can do it, the odds are you can make it happen. It's about what frequency are you going to operate on. And so essentially there's 4 C's of confidence. The first one obviously is a commitment. You have to make a commitment to something. If you make that commitment, then you can get the courage, which is the second C. That second C is courage. You make that commitment and you get some courage, then you have the capacity, because that means you will make something happen. You will get into action. And when you get into action and you see a result, then there's the confidence. And what happens is it's called the 4 C's because it sort of goes in a circle, because it's an evolution and it shouldn't stop. So depending on what the task, the activity or whatever you're engaging in or whatever you're going after, you have to have that process in play over and over and over again. I think a combination of all of those, depending on the individual, because you can have people that feel like they don't deserve it. You can have people that think it's going to be too hard and it's not going to make a difference anyway. You can have people that just don't even know what to do. So why commit to something I have no idea what the outcome will look like? I think we can come up with a whiteboard full of excuses as to why you can't commit. But I always say it to somebody, how important is it to you? Truly, how important is it to you? Because things that are important, we seem to make the time. Time is one that comes up a lot, right? And put the energy and the investment into it. And that's the other thing. We will invest in everything: a new handbag, a pair of shoes, a vacation, this, that, and won't even invest in ourselves.
Yeah.
So you come to a coach like me, and I'll say, well, if you want to work with me, 12 months, $5,000. $5,000. But you just spent $3,000 on a handbag, and and that's not going to get you the joy and success you deserve out of life. I mean, and nothing's wrong with that. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But you can't have the handbag and then be miserable with life.
We like. Coach.
we like them, but not in lieu. But you want your happiness at the end of the day. You want to feel the joy and success you deserve, the freedom. This is what I tell people: you're not buying yourself into something. You buy yourself out of something. So when you're investing in yourself, you're trying to get yourself from that hell to heaven. And people like me have the mechanism that can get you there. But are you willing to commit and invest in yourself? Because I've spent years researching this, taking all that information that's out on the internet and distilling it down so that you don't have to figure out, is this the right one? Is this right? Is this true? Is this not true? Think about the effort and the time and the commitment I put into doing that, so that what I provide you, I know is a proven system that will work and get you there. Well, I don't have one thing, I got two. Wear your damn mask first and foremost, because we're not going to stop it unless we take an active step in that. That's just crazy to me, and I don't get that, But then when you live with people who can be so vulnerable, you take it much more seriously. And I know it's not comfortable, but when you think about it, growth is not comfortable. This is an opportunity for us to grow. The second thing is I think as we look at these racial tensions and things, I've never seen such polarity as I've seen before. I've never seen, white, green, purple, red, brown people all come together and say enough is enough. And to me, that has been so inspiring and gives us great hope. But what I would tell someone that is not of color, and I got something for the color too, but what I would say to someone that is not of color, you can absolutely make a difference. And I think that you'd have no idea of the power and the influence in your own voice. That if you see something, say something. Don't just let it happen. Say something. Because that's how we're going to stop incident by incident from this nonsense happening, and just say it's not fair, For our brown brothers and sisters, I think we have to have some accountability, and we need to stand up and say, okay, how do we do our part? Because there's no perfect nobody. You know what I mean? I like people and I judge people for who people are. There's black people I don't like. There's white people I don't like. It's just people I don't like, but it has nothing to do with the color of their skin. But if we can get to a place where we can recognize that everybody has value and we bleed and pee the same, and we're all human, and it's humankind that we're talking about, then we can make some changes. We can get to a separate place. But it's about accountability on our part too, to say stop the madness. We can do better, and let's just try to bring our community together to bring a level of education and awareness and hope where there is none. Because if we start there and just through love, things can happen. I believe that.
Yeah.
So Reputation to Reward is on Amazon.
Okay.
Yes, it is. And if you want a signed copy, though, you can go to my website at yolanda-smith.com. Again, that's yolanda-smith.com, and I will personally sign a copy and get it to you. Yes. Speaking and coaching.
Speaking.
I'm just really impressed. I'm so excited for you.
Really
I'm very
impressed?
excited for you.